Time to make a connection. Yeah, right. Time to make a connection. To be where we wanna be, we need to come together. Dropping some knowledge, bring the people together. Time to make a connection. Yeah, right. Time to make a connection.
Hey, hey, everybody. Welcome to Making Connections. This is your girl, Aly. I hope everybody's having an amazing day. You guys know we are here every Saturday at 12 noon and every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram, mostly on Facebook. And you saw all those flyers going through the intro there. We know that this Saturday is also the prom. They've been asking for donations and things like that for Champion House of Care, Miss Jeanette Kennard. And so the prom is actually Saturday at from 2 to 6, and so I'm excited to see some of the footage from that. And we also know that the Her Fire tour is going on. It's from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Um, I'm going to be there, get my official certification, coaching certification. So there's a lot of stuff happening. And so I definitely want to greet our guest today, Miss Leandra Garrett. How are you today?
I am good. I am good.
Well, welcome to Making Connections. You're part of the family now.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, so we are going to be talking about autism because April is Autism Awareness Month. And
Okay.
so we're going to be talking about her foundation, My Pieces. But before we get started, we just want to give you an opportunity just to introduce yourself to the family.
So my name is Leandra Garrett. I am a native of Charlotte. I was born and raised here. I went to West Charlotte High School. I ended up graduating from Olympic High School. Um, and I have 5 children. All 5 of my children are disabled, and I have 2 boys with a autism diagnosis.
Oh, wow. Okay, awesome. 5 children. When people tell me they have 5 children, I'll be like, ooh, that's amazing. I wasn't blessed with children, and sometimes I get sad. I'm like, oh, I just wanted one, but God has a plan, right?
Yes.
He knows what he's doing, and so I just say, well, I'm glad to know people who have children, and I can come hang out with them sometimes.
Hmm.
So definitely, let's talk about like I said, April's Autism Awareness Month, and so of course your foundation is called My Pieces, correct?
Yes.
So, when did you establish that?
I started working on my nonprofit in January of 2020.
Okay, okay, awesome. And so the motto is helping families put their puzzle together one piece at a time.
Yes, we are.
And I like that because sometimes we see the big picture, and sometimes we get like, okay, how do I get here? How do I get this finished product? But you got to do it one piece, one step, one moment at a time, right?
Yes, definitely. It's a process.
Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about autism for those of us who may not know as much. We might know someone, but we've never been with their day-to-day process. What does that look like?
So when you see someone with autism, a lot of times you may not know, because autism doesn't look like a certain thing, right? And so it's really cognitive. It's a cognitive disorder. They're not sure where it comes from. What we are finding out is that you see it more in babies that were born premature, but the person may be verbal or nonverbal. And most of them do not understand or have two-way communication, so that's very hard. Following directions, so more than like one direction at a time. You'll see that. You will also see that it's very hard for them to adapt to change, be in environments where there's a lot of noise. That's also one of the barriers that they face, and so change is another.
Okay. Um, so I just hearing that, I'm thinking about. I always come back to the movie The Accountant. Do you do you know that movie? Oh, okay. It was a movie. I can't even remember his name, but when he was younger, he had an issue with he had to finish whatever he started, and if he couldn't finish it, it would kind of take him into a little frizzy. And so, like one time, he was trying to put a puzzle together, and it was just that one piece missing. And finally, one of the girls found it for him and gave it to him. But until he could find that piece, he had to finish what he was doing. But what was so amazing is when you look down at the puzzle, he had actually put it together with the front of it face down. Most of us, we'd be trying to put colors together to put it together, but he didn't even need that. He just needed the pieces.
Yes, and so that and Rain Man is another movie, and so
Oh, yeah.
yes, Rain Man was another great movie to kind of introduce autism and show people exactly what autism looks like in the day in the life of living with the person that has autism.
Absolutely. And so, I just think that a lot of times, and I'm grateful for the awareness because, again, I always say a lot of times when people were diagnosed or teachers just said they were cutting up in school, they were bad students and things like that, we just didn't have all the information. We didn't know really what was going on. And so, I just try to make the awareness that if you encounter somebody like that, you have to kind of do the research, see what's going on in their lives. It may not be that they're a bad student, that they're a bad employee. Maybe we just need to be able to function in their world and, make things simpler for them, don't you think?
So with autism, yes, we do function in their world. They do not function in our world. And I had to learn that. And so it makes life easier, not just for yourself, but it makes life easier for them once you understand and you realize that that two-way communication is there, them not looking at you face to face, all of those things. And so, yes, we live in their world. They don't live in ours.
But they can definitely function, if everybody just, brings it to the table, you get an understanding. And, a lot of times, like you said, I had a friend who had a traumatic brain injury, and she was the same way. Like, it's like when you're in the grocery store, there's already noises from the grocery store. And so you might be asking her something and you're waiting for her to respond. And and initially, you get kind of like, come on, answer the question. What's going on? Let's go, let's go. But there's so much going on that they have to process. Okay, they have to drown out the noise of the register. Okay, that's not the voice that was talking to me. Okay, where's my question that I need to answer? And so we have to have a lot of patience, right?
Yes, so patience is key. And the other thing that we have to understand is their processing is a lot different. So they may have listened to what you said and they heard you, but they didn't understand what you said. And so they have to figure out, do they understand the first part of what you said, the middle of what you said, or the
Mm,
last thing that you said? And so once we grasp that, then we can kind of say, hey, well, when I'm asking questions, let me give them a little bit more time, just to really process what I said, because they process it a lot different than you and I would.
Yeah. And even for us, like you said, we have to learn how to, you know, how to communicate with them. So maybe don't ask five things at one time where, let's just get this one process. Let's get our shoes on. Not let's get our shoes on, get your coat, get your hat, and let's get to the car. All that. Okay, let's start with the shoes. So it's really a learning process for us, but I think it makes us even better people because we're not putting so many how do you say what's the good word for it, but I don't know, I just think it makes us
So we
better
remove
communicators.
barriers. Yeah, so we remove barriers, but we learn patience. We learn better communication skills. I know that I have, and we also learn how to process things in a different site, in additional in a sorry, in a different tunnel than we
Hmm.
usually do.
Hmm. And I can just talk about my stepdad as he's getting older and things like that. My mom was helping him put his shoes on one day, and she was saying, "Stand your foot up," or but she meant like bend your leg so your foot is flat. And he picked his foot up, and I was like, "Well, that was the wrong term. That's what he heard." So he didn't know that you meant bend your knee. So it just because a lot of times we say things, and this is even with everybody, sometimes you say something and it's one meaning to you, but when somebody hears it, it comes out different or they pick up a different meaning. So that's for all of us, right?
Yes, tone, pitch, body language is very important. Um, is key to all communication, because a lot of times the way you say something to someone is the way that they interpret it, once you say it, and then the tone and the pitch that you use, or just maybe a face that you might make, or the body language that you may use, makes a difference.
Absolutely. So, I know one thing too, we're trying to break the stigma of, so many things, mental illness, autism, special needs, people with disabilities, I mean, even the elderly, so what are some of the stigmas that come with autism?
So one of the biggest stigmas is that, it's only boys, and that's not true. It's We also have, there's a lot of girls that are diagnosed, with autism. So that was one of the biggest stigmas. Another one is that because a lot of them, it's hard for them to have two-way communication, that, they are learning disabled, when in actuality they are very smart people. And most of them are a lot smarter than any test could ever test them to be.
Hmm.
Just to say, oh, well, you're this smart or you're that smart. And so that was another stigma, is that they're not teachable, but they are teachable. They just learn in their own way. And so those were two of the biggest things. Um, and I think another one, is, well, it's a truth instead of a stigma, but the age of diagnosis, depending on race. And I hate to say that, but that has been true as well. And a lot of people don't know that. And there has been stigmas around, when children are diagnosed, and what diagnosis look like, depending on, the type of insurance you have, or,
Hmm.
the color of your skin. And it's sad, but that's the true reality of the in the world that we live in, when we have loved ones on the spectrum.
Hmm. And I can see that for sure, especially insurance, like you said, and it depends on, your level of work, what you do, what type of insurance you have, how much your insurance is going to cover. And, but to me, we've got to get to that place where things like the diagnosis, the testing for people, it should just be for everyone. It doesn't matter where you live, what color you are, what your age is. We have to start making things accessible so that we can get those diagnoses and then we can start working with people in the right way, don't you think?
Well, I think that's perfect. That would be perfect in an imperfect world. And so that would mean that you're able to get the services and the help that your child needs a lot earlier, so that prevention, all of those prevention plans can be put in place, and it helps them to be better earlier than better later, because it hurts more when you have a child that could have been in speech therapy when they were 2 years old, as opposed to they didn't get into speech therapy until they were 6 years old, or getting a diagnosis when you're you know 18 months old, as opposed to getting a diagnosis when you're 9 years old. um,
Right.
all of that makes a big world of difference in living with someone that's on the spectrum.
Now, do you see, because I know you're in the community a lot and you're trying to bring more awareness, do you see like in the school systems, are they teaching the or educating the teachers even more on, the different things that could be going on, whether it's special needs, or it's not happening yet?
So, I mean, they have teachers that say that they work with children with special needs, but I can just say from my own experience, depending on the school, depending on your zip code and your address, it depends on the education level that that child or those children will receive. And so they say that we have all of these rights to put them in whatever school we want to put them in, and you know they're not educating teachers around IEPs and how those IEPs need to be followed, in those 504 plans, or those all of the educational plans and people and things that need to be in place for this person to be successful. And I think the other thing that a lot of people don't know is when a child has an autism diagnosis, depending on whether it's verbal or nonverbal, they get a limited high school diploma, which means that they have to first attend a community college for 2 years and then go off to a regular college. And so those are things that, I talk to families all the time about, but the education system as a whole, and especially CMS, they have a lot of work to do around autism and just people and children with special needs, period.
Wow, that's major. A limited diploma? And why is that, they say?
So because they don't put them in all of the regular classes that other students are in. So I think when you get to 10th grade, you have to take a Spanish class. And so I guess, and my comment was, because my son has autism doesn't mean that he can't learn Spanish.
Right.
He learns everything else. He teaches himself whatever else he wants to learn. But that again, that's another stigma, right? And it goes back to us talking about those stigmas of feeling like what a person is capable of or what they aren't capable of. And so that barrier being put there to say what you're not capable of, and CMS not lifting those barriers in because of the mandates that they have in place, and the laws and the legality around it. So it makes a difference.
Wow. And that's amazing because, I mean, people, kids without disabilities, some of them can learn Spanish, some of them cannot, or not as easy. It takes them longer to understand. It takes them longer to figure out how to put the sentence together and the structure. So the same thing is happening to children without disabilities. So why would you just say that? Let's at least try, right? Let's see how far they can go. Let's put them in the class, see what they can learn. Just like we would do with other students. If they need a tutor, let's do that, right? That's my
Well,
that's my theory.
it is, but I think a lot of times it's easier not to try something than to try it and it doesn't go the way that you wrote it down to go, or it wasn't, you didn't get the success rate that you wanted to. So hey, we're just not going to try it, so we don't have to worry about the failures, and then we don't have to worry about the backlash. And I think
Mm.
that that's what education around children with autism and disabilities have become.
Wow. So your organization, My Pieces, what are some of the things that you do in the community or in the schools or what have you?
So I actually started a Facebook group called My Pieces, and so what we do in that group and with my organization is we share information about autism, um, what that looks like, signs that parents can look for diagnosis, um, what a diagnosis look like, um, putting together IEP plans and what those IEP plans should include, what you have a right to ask for, um, and all of the educational stuff around autism, and also just us incorporating them into the community. So playing basketball, playing football. I just had an event Saturday, art for autism, and so this summer we events where we can. There will be more events this summer with my organization where we can have movie nights where they can have popcorn. Back to school festival and ride to raise awareness around autism.
Okay, cool. And so, just in case somebody doesn't know what IEP means, what do you mean when you're referring to that?
So it's an individualized education plan, and what that does is it is a group of um, therapists, speech therapists, occupational therapists, teachers, counselors that have all worked with your child, and they test your child and they learn where your child is and what those needs are and what they need help with, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and just kind of something in place to get like work modified so they don't have too much homework, or when they test, they're better tested, maybe being pulled out of class, and that test read aloud instead of them having to sit in class with their peers and stay focused. And so, also in those educational plans, it'll talk about a diagnosis. It'll talk about, it'll also talk about goals and plans that they'll put in place, you know, for your child to be successful and what needs to be put there for them to be successful.
Okay. And so, just because, maybe again, a lot of people don't know what the day in the life of an autistic person looks like, if you want to share that, like, what your son's day looks like or what changes you had to make in the family, when you got the diagnosis, you know what I mean?
So Kamani was born at 2 pounds and 13 ounces, and he had a lot of setbacks. And so he had flatlined twice, and I told the doctor the third
Mm.
time, I said, if he flatlines again, I said, I'm just gonna put a do not resuscitate order in, because he was so premature. He was born at 29 weeks, and so for his gestational weeks, he was really tiny, and we got it. Well, I knew something wrong was wrong when he was about 18 months old. We were in the kitchen that morning. He usually told me what he wanted to eat, and from that day until he was almost 8 years old, he never said another word. And so
Mm.
automatically, I made a phone call to his social worker. That was through the Watkins Center to let her know he had stopped talking, and he kind of had a blank stare on his face. And so that's when she told me. She said, "Leandra, just looking at Kamani, I think he has autism." And I was like, "Well, what is that?" And so she explained to me what it was, and we started automatically taking steps then to put the things in place that he needed. So speech therapists coming into my home every day, an occupational therapist to come into my home, a physical therapist to come into my home every day. Um, and so we've been doing that now. He turned 15 yesterday, so we've been doing that now for 15 years. And he does it in school. Um, he doesn't do outside services anymore. Um, but that's something that parents can do, is have those services put in place. And so that's something that we had to do. And also everything being routine for him. So changing our schedules, doing everything at the same time every day. We get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. His clothes are laid out a certain way. He gets dressed and he brushes his teeth. Um, all of those things. So it's just eating at the same time every day. His bus being there at the same time every day. Like all of those things are important in his success, because when we change those things, he's not a happy camper, and it changes the
Mhm.
dynamics of their day because that change is different.
Okay. And you said he turned how old yesterday?
15. He's 15 now.
Okay. So cute. I saw a video when he was dancing.
Yes, he loves music now. He used to be very sensitive to sound, so he had to wear headphones. As to where now he doesn't have to wear those headphones unless he's at an assembly in the school, and most of the time they just don't take him in there because it becomes so overwhelming for him.
Right. And so, even with that, like, if he's having a bad day, maybe something gets off, like, how do you deal with that?
It's just giving him, we give him breaks, and those breaks may look like him, because he most of them run a lot. So he may just have to take a walk. He may run around the house several times, or sometimes I can give him like his video game, and he'll kind of play that for about. I'll tell him, "Well, come on, you have about 15 minutes on your game," and he'll play his game. Or I have to keep reiterating, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Or first we're gonna do this, and then we'll do such and such, and that kind of will keep them calm. But it's really just altering the mindset, and finding a directive of something else that he can do instead of what he's focused on, because they do not forget um, what you tell them or what was changed to cause that behavior.
Oh, okay. Wow. So, I was just thinking, like I said, just even when you said Rain Man, just thinking about, the different things. He was on schedule. He had to watch his show at a certain time. It didn't matter where they were. And, that's something that will upset us. But, like his brother at first was just like, whatever, just come on. But he found that if he just kept to a routine, he figured it out some kind of way, then it just made everybody's day better. And so it's like everything else. We just got to figure out how to work with one another. We have to figure out, because we all have different quirks. I have different quirks than you have quirks. You know what I'm saying? But if we're working on a project together, we got to figure those out. Maybe I like to go to bed early at night. Maybe you like to stay up late at night and work on the project. I'll be like, well, I'm gonna do my part, and then I'll send it to you. You look it over at night instead of fussing and the project going nowhere and just being like, well, we're just not gonna do the project. We just have to find a way to work together, right?
Yes, and that's very key when working with someone on the spectrum, is all partners being hands on deck, um, because it's tiresome. It becomes overwhelming. But that person just knowing that you're their voice, right, and you're their support, and so they depend on you every single second of their life to show up and be there and really make sure that things go the way that they're supposed to go, for them to function.
And so, even saying that, for you, the caregiver, for you, the one that's making sure everything, what do you do? Because there may be some parents who are dealing with that, and they're getting there, they're learning the process, they're learning to keep everything, as consistent as possible. But like you said, they might be tired, might be overwhelmed. They don't have might have a sister or a brother that can give them a break every now and then, but because they're not there every day, they may not have the same patience. So, what would you tell to a parent who is, just feeling tired and overwhelmed right now?
Um, Take a break. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to take some you time, because if you don't take you time, you'll burn out fast. And so this is not something that's an overnight deal. It's a lifetime deal, right? And so if you don't take that break, and you don't take some time for yourself, whether it's just a walk, going to get a haircut, getting your hair done, putting them in maybe day services if they're older, or respite care, you burn out. And so what happens is you start to break down mentally, and then not only mentally, but you start to break down physically. And so it really takes over your body. And
Mhm.
I'll never tell a parent that the work is easy. I'll never tell them that there will ever be 2 days the same, because it won't be. But what I will say is take time to enjoy you, because you will notice when you start to take time to enjoy you, it makes things a lot easier, and you're not as frustrated, and you don't keep running into those behaviors that cause you to be frustrated. You'll see that they change, because again, just like a baby, they can tell when you're upset, and they know when
Mhm.
you just don't want to be bothered, or they're getting on your nerves. And so trust me, they are smart enough to know that, hey, if this is what gets on her nerves, I'm gonna do it to get on her nerves. My son, he does it. So I mean, even when we think they don't understand, even being nonverbal, they do.
Absolutely. And again, like you were talking about, even like respite care and things like that, maybe the first person that comes in doesn't work well with them. But I say keep trying, until you find somebody who is a good fit. Somebody maybe at church, or somebody, you know, especially if you're talking about just a couple of hours. And plus, you're still going to have your phone on, so you're going to be accessible. But like you said, you have got to take that time to step away for a minute, to breathe for yourself, to refill yourself, to, like you said, go get your hair done or go watch a movie, and you don't have to be responsible for anybody else for a moment. We all need that time. So it's not being irresponsible, it's not being selfish, but it's necessary.
It definitely is. It definitely is. I remember being at a point where I wanted to take my own life, right? Because I was just so overwhelmed doing this by myself, having walked away from, abusive relationship, having
Mhm.
children, five with different diagnoses, because my two boys are on different ends of the spectrum. Um, and so it was just so hard for me, and I was so burnt out, and I was like, listen, um, I had plotted how to kill my kids and kill myself. And
Mhm.
I had to really go seek help, because I knew that I had reached my breaking point. And it
Right.
happens because we're human. We all have a breaking point. We all have a point when we have to say, hey, I need help. And so it's okay to say that you need help. It's okay not to be a perfect mom, today, or a perfect dad today, or a
Right.
perfect parent. Um, and nobody's going to ever take care of our children like we do, because they're our children, right? And we know exactly what they need. But by all means, allow people to come in, your friends, grandparents, family, whoever is willing to come in and help you, just so that you can have that me time. Take it. Take you a vacation for a weekend. It's okay, because when you get back, you'll notice that burden and that weight has been taken off your shoulders.
Absolutely. And I like that you said that, I mean, because like you said, it's real talk. We're talking about real situations, real people, real feelings. and things, life gets overwhelming. And so, you had to reach out to somebody because you saw that you were getting to that place. And instead of just being like, oh, I can deal with it, or I'm just gonna ignore it today, you can't always ignore it all on your own, day after day. So getting the help that you need, reaching out to somebody, calling a crisis line just to be like, I just need to cry for however long I cry, whatever, going to the bathroom and just crying there. I mean, get that out because it's okay. You're a real person, and it's okay to have those feelings. And sometimes, you can feel bad about a situation. I don't have any biological children, but I've helped people raise their children. And sometimes with my godson, I'll just be like, you know what, I'll think about something, I'll be like, I was not very good to him at that moment. But I was so frustrated with the things he was doing, the things his parents were doing. And but it happened. But I can't hold that over myself forever. I was doing the best I could. I mean, he wasn't even really my child, but here I was raising him. So I'm just saying, I want everybody to be encouraged. I don't want you to feel like it was something you did. Sometimes we make bad decisions and it's life, it happens. But things like this that happen, it's not on us. But we are here to deal with it, and we are here to go through it, and we have to help our children through it because, like you said, other people are not going to love our children like we do. So we have to help them through it as well. But if you get the help you need, if you can get centered, then you're a bigger help to them.
And you're correct, right? Because if you can't help yourself, you can't help anybody else. And so if you're sick, then the people that depend on you, um, they become sick. And so mental health is a real thing. And
Hmm.
so um, there's just so many stigmas around mental health and what that looks like for people who think that they're going to always be well. But like I said, as a parent, and parents having loved ones on the spectrum, it it's a lot. Yeah, I will say it's a lot to deal with
Yeah.
because every day you're learning something new on this path, and so that's why I say that we're putting our puzzle together one piece at a time because every day it's a new piece um, to this million piece puzzle, and it may never be put together fully in your lifetime, but you just have to keep working on it, and so that time, like you said, you don't even realize sometimes how your attitude can affect your loved one's attitude or how you react or how you respond to them having a bad day. And then you're already overwhelmed and having a bad day. So it just makes the situation worse. As to when you're well, right, you can calm down enough to say, well, hey, and ask that person why they made that choice and decision.
Right. I love it. I love it. I think this is good conversation, because again, it's bringing awareness. So let's just say somebody, they've never dealt with somebody who has autism before, but, maybe they know a family member or a friend at church. What are some of the things that we could do to make that person's life better? What are some of the things we could learn? You know?
So I think learning um, what they like and what they don't like, that is one of the biggest things because they are very, very keen on what they like and what they don't like, who they like and who they don't like, right?
Mm,
And the things that make them tick and then the things that take them out of character. And so for people that don't have to deal with someone on the spectrum every day, I think like I said, just having patience and understanding and really getting to know that individual or the people. It makes all the difference in the world. And so, kind of getting background information is important. Um, what they like to eat and what they don't like to eat because a lot of them are very, very picky eaters. So it's just things that we don't think about every day in life because we take for granted. So, like, I may say, hey, I got a taste for tacos today, right? And my son and say, "Well, no, mom, I'm not eating tacos today." And so we just have to understand that today is not the day that I'm going to eat tacos because I want to eat tacos, right? And so
Mhm.
that and that's just a little chip in the day in the life. But I think we just have to understand that, like, the things that we take for granted and don't understand, or we just don't care much about and don't think twice about, are the things with people on the spectrum that we do have to think twice about.
Okay. And I think that's a lot of times because, I have heard people be like, well, I'm scared of them. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going over there. Or, they see people with disabilities in the park and they're like, well, we going over here because I don't know what they're going to do. I, I don't know what we think they be carrying guns and they just going to come out and start shooting. But I do understand to the sense that I don't know what to say to them because I don't know what might, set them off. But instead of having that fear, we gotta just, like you said, learn. Talk to the mom. Maybe, of course, you don't approach the child right away. They don't know you. That will scare me. I tell people not to approach my child. So, of course, talk to the parents first, figure out, who this child is, who this adult is, find out, opposed to, and then teach your children. Because again, I think that's the problem. We haven't had the education. So we teach our children, even as they go to school, okay, when you see this person, you don't pick at this person. You treat this person with the same respect that you want to be treated with. Maybe you tried to give them a popsicle, but they don't like popsicles. So we have to educate even our children, our church people, everything, right?
Well, we got to remember they're human and they're different, but that doesn't define who they are. And so, I mean, it may be a serial killer jogging past us in the park, right? He doesn't have serial
Thank you.
killer wrote on his forehead and he looks normal. And so I tell people I'm a lot scared of the people that look normal, right? And that I just don't know about than the ones that I can look at and say, hey,
Sure.
they're different. And so I think a lot of times just walking up me, hey, how's your day? Even Saturday, I had a lady tell me my son never never had this much fun in a space with with children just like him. So he was able to run and he was able to, flap his arms because that's what they do and make all of those noises. And those are things that they do. As to where somebody, like I said, that's a serial killer, somebody that may be a serial rapist, we take
Right.
those things for granted, right?
Right.
And we just have to learn that it's okay in a society, in a world, to be different. And these people are human and they deserve to be treated like a human. Right before y'all called me, I was in shambles. I was crying. I was getting myself together when
Oh,
I was getting on the phone for this conversation because I had a young lady that I spoke to at the school that I speak at, and she was just all of pieces, and she was crying and she was hugging me and telling me, "Thank you for letting me know that it's okay to be different."
mm,
And so I think that that's what we have to understand. They're human. They're approachable. They talk, and even if they don't talk, there's something that you're gonna learn, that you're gonna walk away from, that's gonna carry you for the rest of your life.
absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Like I said, this is good conversation because it's educating all of us. Um, and so I know you said you were gonna be having some more events this summer. So like, what type of help do you need when you're putting those events together?
So I always ask for donations, whether it's a monetary donation, whether it's someone bringing snacks, someone volunteering to bring their food truck. I had a gentleman I know, he brought his pony out and he did free pony rides. And so I just ask the community for donations on behalf of these young people because if I did not do this, um, there's not even a lot of organizations that are based around autism that really function in communities where
Right.
the families can come out and really relax and be around people that they can relate to and talk to, um, and be functional, right? And so I always ask for donations and any educational material that people have that they would like to share. Contact me, um, and so usually that's just all I ask for, and the most important thing and the most valuable thing that I ask for is people's time.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. And so, what, how can they contact you if they want, they're interested, just in uh, hearing more about autism and what they can do?
And so my email is Leandra Garrett at Yahoo, and that's LeondraGarrett at yahoo.com. On Facebook and Instagram is just my first and last name, Leandra Garrett. And then I also have a group on Facebook if you want to join it called My Pieces. And so we share a lot of information there about autism and also mental health awareness information.
Okay. Well, Leandra, don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick break. We're
Okay.
going to hear a song by the Groovaladas. They
Okay.
are a Grammy nominated band, and they dropped a remix of their album Mama's Hamper. Came out April 20th. It's on all platforms. Mualim, who's one of the band members, has been on the show, and he actually did our theme music. And so we're going to hear from a song from them. So make sure y'all go find Mama's Hamper, Groovaladas, find them and follow them because those guys are a lot of fun. And we're also going to see a quick promo of the Her Fire tour that's happening Saturday. So stay with us and we'll be right back.
Them big girls. I love them big girls. Them the ones that are for me. Oh, I love them big girls. Oh, I love them big girls. Well, when we get out on the dance
registration is open. Yay! We are kicking off here in Charlotte, April the 30th. So I'm calling all female bosses, authors, coaches, speakers, beautypreneurs, solopreneurs, any female that's in any form of leadership. I want to see you in the building. Join us April 30th, 2022. Go ahead and get your tickets at www.herfiretour.com.
Yes, yes. So again, the music you were hearing was from the Groovaladas. They have dropped their remix of their album Mama's Hamper. It is on all platforms. And the Her Fire Tour, that was Miss Angela Brand. She is the fire master fire trainer. I have to get the words right. She is the master fire trainer, helping women. You know, her goal is to help 1 million women to reach millions and to make millions. So if if you're a woman in business, you want to be a speaker, a coach, an author, what have you, reach out to Angela Brand. You can find her on angelabrandenterprises.com. Or, if you want to know more about the tour, because it's kicking off in Charlotte, but currently they have a 12-city tour and she's adding more on. So you can always follow the tour at herfiretour.com. And so today we have been speaking with Miss Leandra Garrett. She is the founder of My Pieces, and she's helping families put their puzzle together one piece at a time. So Miss Leandra, it has definitely been, a blessing, talking to you and just, finding out more about what you do and what you're doing in the community and how we can help. Definitely share this video because it's somebody out there who needs to hear it. Somebody, and I always say it doesn't matter what topic we're talking about. I believe that it can bless somebody because you might just be a parent of just what we call a regular kid. I hate to say it like that, but and they're driving you crazy and you you need a break. And so I hope you as well can take a break. It's okay. You might be somebody who's maybe not in the Charlotte area, but you know of a lot of people who are autistic and you would like to start something for them, to activities. And so now you've met Leandra Garrett and you're like, oh, we can collaborate. I can talk to her. I can get ideas. Maybe we can do stuff together. So it's always a purpose behind using our voice and telling our story, right, Miss Leandra?
Yes, always. And just remember that I mean, you may not change 1 million lives, but changing one life is important, and that's what matters. And so, like I said, I also do youth advocacy for high risk teens, and so that's just, I mean, it's so phenomenal when we can share stories and people can have an aha moment to say, hey, I walk in those shoes too. Um, and so sharing and opening up and being an open book is important for me because I want to transform lives and I want people to know that no matter where they are in life and no matter what they're going through, whether they're taking care of a loved one that has autism, or they have a teenager that they just don't know what to do with, or a family member that may be sick or whatever. Um, it's one day at a time, right? And as long as you're laying on your back looking up, you can get up. And so I tell my young people all the time, you're broken so you can be put back together. You're not shattered. Um,
Mhm.
and so these stories are part of that puzzle that we're putting together to make it a whole puzzle.
Absolutely. And so I also want to, if there's anything that you think I missed today, or another anything you want to tell the audience, that you think would be helpful information, maybe because I just didn't know to ask it. If there's anything, this is your opportunity just to kind of share a little bit more.
So what I will say is if you have an inclination that your child has autism, please, please, please ask. Um, get them tested. Those signs usually are lack of two-way communication. They don't make eye contact. Um, those are two of the main things that I hear people talk about. And a lot of times they also have sensory issues. So they're sensitive to sound. Um, they may have cognitive issues where they may seem a little clumsy all the time. and a lot of children with autism are awkward, and so they just kind of move about freely because in their bodies they feel like they're floating all the time. As to where us, in what we consider a normal body, we feel grounded. So like I said, if you feel like your child may have autism, or you just feel like it's something is not right, it's okay to ask, right? Because earlier prevention is, like I said earlier, is a lot better than later prevention. And it's a gut wrenching diagnosis, but it does not it does not mean that this child will not be successful, and they can't go to college, and they can't be whatever it is that they want to do in life. Their diagnosis is just that, it's a diagnosis. It's not their outcomes. And so, I mean, I tell anybody, feel free to reach out to me any time of the day or night. Um, you can call my cell phone, and I will share my cell phone number. My contact number is 980-428-2855. And if I don't answer, leave me a message. Feel free to text. Let me know what you're texting me for. Or you can reach me on Facebook. Like I said, my Facebook name is Leandra Garrett. My group, My Pieces, is also on there. And just, I mean, any little thing that you feel like I forgot or I may not have answered that you may want answered, then reach out to me, and I'm here. That's what I'm here for.
Awesome. And I think this again, awesome information. And yes, we're all dealing with something, and we all need help in some way, and it's okay. I love the knowledge that you've given us, and so definitely, I'm going to join the Facebook group just so I can keep abreast of what you're doing. That way, when you're having events, I can share them on the show, and I can, come out and support in whatever way I can, because that's one thing about this technology world. Now, you might have sponsors from Germany. You might have sponsors from, New York, where you're in Charlotte. So I definitely, please, everybody, once you watch this video, share it with others so that others can be empowered, others can be inspired by what Miss Leandra has shared with us. And so we know how to be a help, because that's what we want ultimately. And so thank you again for being on the show. You're part of the Making Connections family. Always let us know what you got going on so we can share it. And if ever you need our help, just let us know, and we will do what we can, okay?
All right, and thank you all for having me, and thank you all for just allowing me to be a part of your family. That's important. I'm always about networking and meeting new people, and sharing our resources.
Yes. And so I'll definitely get all your information again, and I'll add it to the description of the video.
Okay,
Um Now, so did you say you have an email?
I do. It's
Okay.
my first and last name, all lowercase, at yahoo.com.
Okay. So I'll put all that in the description of the video so you guys will know how to reach out. And as an ending today, we're gonna do our CTA and go to our ending. But until next time, as always, we're leaving you with love, positivity, and good vibes. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you, Leandra.
Thank you.
Thank you for being such a wonderful listening audience, whether you were listening live or on the replay. And don't forget to like our Facebook page, Making Connections with Aly and Shay, so that you can get notified every time we go live. Do you have a burning message to share with the audience? Contact Alicia Johnson at info@aliciajohnson.com. That's info@ALYSSIAJOHNSON.com with your topic idea and your message to be booked on the show. And if you're an inspirational speaker or motivator, or simply seeking a platform to share your message, contact Miss Alicia Johnson at info@aliciajohnson.com. That's info@ALYSSIAJOHNSON
com to be considered for 30 to 60 minutes of weekly airtime right here on the Making Connections Network. Again, contact Alicia Johnson at info@aliciajohnson.com. That's info at ALYSSIAJOHNSON.com to be considered for 30 to 60 minutes of weekly airtime, your own radio show right here on the Making Connections Network.